For some sides with just less than 10 games left of the Premier League season, the relegation battle is continuing on, and for what's been a very, very tight season down there, for once we can't quite relegate a side yet. Usually by now, a few start to separate from the pack, but it's still very tight down there at the foot of the Premier League table. So we're here tonight to discuss most of the clubs involved and give our thoughts on who we think will go down. Hopefully, Chris will be a little bit unbiased. So as you can see, I'm firstly joined by Chris from Leicester Till I Die TV. Chris, how are you?
I've been happier, if I'm honest with you. But yeah, it's I'm still alive. I'm still here. So yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks, Jake.
Good stuff. Rich is joining us, a Nottingham Forest fan. Rich, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Jake. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad at all. And representing Bournemouth, we've got Max from Up the Cherries in All Departments. That is a very good YouTube name, I have to say. Max, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. How's you?
Yeah, not bad at all. A lot better than probably you, Chris. We'll start with you. I'm going to ask everybody sort of the same question to start off with. Where are you with your current club situation in the relegation battle? So how do you think it's going to go? Where do you think you'll finish? And book those tickets to the EFL, Chris.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think we'll go down. I think we are in a position where this has been coming for so long. You go down to the King Power every other week and you've got 30,000 fans that can see what's going on. And you've got, Susan Whelan, Andrew Neville, John Rudkin and Top that seem to be sort of watching another team. Apparently when they sacked Rodgers, 2 weeks ago now, they did not have anybody lined up, which is, if that is true, it's an absolute disgrace because, we've seen our team disintegrate this season, bit by bit by bit. And if you run a business and you don't think that you better have somebody in the stands waiting just in case, then something is wrong. We've gone from, let's be honest with you, without bragging, we've gone from the team that everybody wanted to be like. Everybody wanted their club to be run the way we were being run, obviously outside the top six, the big six. We tried to sort of, break into there. And now we're a laughingstock, to be honest with you. We could be sort of, the next team that's won the league that will get relegated. It's all a bit embarrassing, but, this is the team that, a couple of seasons ago put 9 past Southampton. The season as they won the FA Cup and the Community Shield. It's just totally embarrassing, and it isn't just the results, because it's the performances. And I'd take a bad performance if we scored off Jamie Vardy's arse in the 89th minute or something. But the performances are just so bad. We played Crystal Palace the other week, and that first 45 minutes, I'm in my 60s now, and I've seen some bad things at Leicester. I've seen David Plate in charge. I've seen Gary Megson, in fairness, wasn't too bad. Peter Taylor. But that was probably the worst 45 minutes of football I can remember seeing. We never got the ball out of our half, and if we did, it was only because we hoofed it away. There was no defending. That was eventually obviously what got him sacked, but it was awful. And Bournemouth, no disrespect to Bournemouth, but we did Liverpool. Once we went 1-0 down, and all right, you can't blame Maddison too much. He's dug us out the shit often enough to have some credit. But we had nothing, no idea of how to break Bournemouth down. That was, and I know I've said this a lot this season, that was probably our biggest game so far. It was a 6-pointer, and we've got a manager that comes in, or a caretaker manager that comes in and goes, oh, do you know what? I'll play exactly the same way that the predecessor did and got us into this trouble. We need to win this game. Let's put 2 defensive midfielders on and only 1 up front.
I think there's big issues there at sort of Leicester because we talked about before we were on, there's huge similarities what I can see in the last few years between Leicester and West Ham. Both have taken a considerable downfall in the last season or so, and I do think we will just about get out of it in the end.
Oh, you will. I think you'll stay up.
But for Leicester, yeah, I'm not sure. Let's move on. Let's go to Nottingham Forest and Rich, the current situation at the City Ground.
Yeah, it's not good. I think we'll go down. I don't think there's enough fight in the team or cohesion as a team. Love Steve Cooper for what he did last season, but we just, we're averaging 30% possession every game. We're sitting in our own half, not showing it. We have moments, but unless we do something with those moments, then we're sort of dead and buried, really. I think the recruitment's been poor, particularly in January. Shelby, Wood, IU. It's not the sort of players you're looking to build on, really. But I think I'm in a slightly different position than yourself and Chris because, we're not established. So even if we go down, we're in a better position than we were the last season of the Championship.
Yeah.
I know it's difficult to get back up. You can never guarantee it. But, I'd sort of be fairly positive about next season regardless of where we are. But I think I think Steve Cooper, there's a little bit of dissent now amongst fans. He was a legend last season, but I think because the team just aren't fighting for it, I think there's a lot of dissent now. I mean, I've watched a couple of the Bournemouth games, and they just look like a team, and they look like they want to win the games. And I think that's what will get them out of it, whereas we're just sinking without a trace.
Yeah, and we'll bring in Max here as well because I've watched Bournemouth quite a lot recently, and you know what, I think seeing some Bournemouth fans, there seems to be a little bit of indifference between the sort of opinion with Gary O'Neill there. But what I have seen is in some games you've played is a bit of belief there, and I think that's what will keep you up. Your thoughts on your situation, Max?
Yeah, to be honest, since the sacking of Scott Parker, we've run Gary O'Neill in. We went unbeaten for like 9 games. I think we got I think it was 3 wins and quite a few draws, and then our first loss was against Southampton at home. We weren't good enough, but then we started to have a bad run for a couple of games. But then until we had Michael B. Jordan come in and we had Bill Foley when he had the takeover, as soon as they came in, and our first game was against Leicester, when we managed to win 2-1 at home when we were 1-0 down. They were the new people and the owners that were sat in the crowd. And ever since then, we've started. It's basically for Bournemouth this season. I think it's been like a win game, a draw game, then a lose game. To be honest, we haven't had the worst form. I mean, I've looked at our last 5 games from this week, from the past 5 weeks, should I say? It's been a win, a loss, a win, and a loss, and a win. So, that's what I think. That's okay for a team like us because years ago you wouldn't have seen Bournemouth to be a Premier League team. Like the council didn't want us to be a Premier League team. To be honest, I think it was over 10 years ago we were in the non-league and that League 2 and that. So we've done far to come as we have. But to be honest, overall this season, what I think to score more goals like we had in the Leicester game, we had loads and loads of chances. We need to be more clinical enough. Another thing that I have noticed is our midfielder Billing. He scored more goals than Dominic Solanke, who was our main striker. And Billing's a midfielder, and sometimes sits back in the defence. So it just goes to show that Billing is capable, and he is our top goal scorer this season. But to be honest, he did a great finish against Leicester, which I wasn't expecting him to score because it was on his weak foot. But unfortunately for Leicester and that, he played it straight through. And we scored from that. But to be honest, I was hoping that we'd have scored more goals against Leicester, but it wouldn't to be. We had to wait till the 97th minute. If it was 2-0 in the 90th minute, I said, yeah, it's game over. But always when there's a 1-goal lead with time left, you just think to yourself, could this be enough? But personally, this season, I reckon if we carry on playing like how we are, I think we'll definitely stay up. I think it'll be we could either get between 17th, I think is it 12th now, isn't it? Because
up there,
11th,
yeah.
Because 11th, you've got like 38 points. There's like a 10-12 point gap, isn't there, from 11th and 12th? I mean, it's been so close. There you go. You've got it there on your computer. It's been so close this season. Like honestly, I think that's like the closest it's been in years, to be honest. But if we obviously there we are, we're joint points with West Ham, but our goal difference is crying compared to West Ham. So to be honest, we've got you as our next home game, but we've got Spurs away this Saturday at 3:00. Leicester have got Blooming Man City, but that's more pain for Chris, to be honest. I don't know who Forest have got, but
we've got Man United.
Man United.
And then Liverpool.
Do you know, all three of us have got hard teams. We've got Tottenham, you've got Man United, Leicester have got City. Who've West Ham got?
And we've got Arsenal.
Honestly,
could be as you were then.
You never know. You could. They have to lose a game at some point, to be honest, mate. So you never know. You could get points. We were 2-0 up at the Emirates, for God's sake, and so we did. We got the bottle out and we bloody threw it away. We bottled it, mate. We absolutely bottled it. I'm telling you now. I was so annoyed. I thought we'd have got points at the Emirates, but I was like, nope, of course. But to be honest, this season I think we've done really well because you've had the pundits say, look, Bournemouth, your yo-yo team, like, you've got a championship squad. I'm like, okay then. So do you know what? Since August, since we've been told that we should go down in that, looking at the pundits, I'm just still sat there now, looking at the table, right? And every single one of us Bournemouth fans, we will not care if we finish 17th because it's staying up. And that will prove to all them pundits, right, that's written us off since the start of the season before the first game was even played. And we've somehow managed to win our first game against Villa, who's fighting for Champions League, possibly Europa League.
Yeah, no. I think Bournemouth. Whenever they come up, it sort of brings a storm at the stadium, and they'll go straight back down. And I think I do like Bournemouth, and I think now they will have enough to stay up. I think with all the teams that are involved, there's been a couple of week period where we've all gone, I think we're going to drop, and I think. Just with the sort of lack of quality that I think has been down there this season, it's been a really, really poor, sort of bottom half in terms of quality in the Premier League this season. And I still do think there'll be a few changes to the table left in there. Let's see, we've got in the chat and see what you guys are saying before we carry on. Plenty of comments coming in, so we'll just go through a few of them. Evening to everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. Good evening, Mr. Talk TV. You're getting yourself around, Chris, aren't you? You were on the other one the other day, Talk TV last night or something. You're getting yourself about, Chris.
I tell you what, the hardest thing this time was not swearing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very good, Chris. Very good. So yeah, get your three teams in. Who do you think will get relegated? Southampton and any other two, says Peter. Dean Smith going to Leicester Boulder Council. We'll talk about that in just a second. Saints, Forest and Leeds. I think Leicester will scrape over the line by beating us last game, and we will already be safe. Andy, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Evening, everyone. Chris, hope you're good. I actually don't think you'll go down. James Madison and Ian actually will keep you up. Kasper Schmeichel is a big loss, in my opinion. Sean says Saints, Leicester, Forest. They are the three sides who players don't look like they believe. Players that don't look like they believe. Sorry. The three sides whose heads look lower, 7/8 poor sides that more than deserve to go this season. I agree. Everybody else having a little chat to each other. Bournemouth have something about them, which should be enough. I agree. Chris is the Fox's answer to Nick from Claret and Booze. Only the West Ham people will get that. But yeah, very good, Sean. Very good. I got a clue, Chris. Saints, Leicester, Forest / Leeds. There you go. You've got some backup, look, Chris. You've got some backup.
There's a few Leicester ones in there.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for joining us. True Red, thank you very much for joining us as well. Is Dean Smith the confirmed new manager yet? Have you got some in the know, Chris, or not?
Depends which paper you read. You were saying before we came in, it could be Rafa, it could be Mildred, the tea lady, who knows? Dean Smith is the strongest link at the moment. And, I mean, we had a close one with Jesse Marsh, but we're getting to the point where I would take anybody. We got rid of...
with Rafa Benitez as well.
Yes, we have, and don't even go there. I mean, we've replaced Kermit and we've got Miss Piggy in charge. I mean, like I said, who comes in and thinks that doing exactly the same as the guy that's just been sacked is going to keep you up? I mean, the guy's a muppet. We need a new manager to come in. I mean, look at we all laughed at Roy Hodgson going back to Palace, but bloody hell,
sorted them right out, I know.
Yeah, fair play to him. And that's what we need. Because I say the guy that's there now, I don't know why he wasn't sacked when Rodgers was sacked. He was first team coach, so he should have gone with him. But Ian Smith, if he comes back, will hopefully bring Craig Shakespeare with him. Assistant manager to Pearson and Ranieri, so the greatest. He's been there for the Great Escape. He's been there for when we won the title. God, that seems years ago. So
Chris, that's why I stopped living in the past.
I know I'm turning into an Arsenal fan, aren't I?
Yeah, I think with Leicester, it's a sticky situation where I'd be absolutely fuming if I sacked Brendan Rodgers and then didn't have a replacement lined up to bang out the next day. And I think that's the worry that Nottingham Forest had as well, because there was the big uproar where there was a few stories loitering about Richard where there were reports that Steve Cooper was going to be sacked and the chairman then came out and backed him. In the end, do you think that was the right decision to make?
I think so, because the thing is, who do you replace him with? There's very few obvious choices out there at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think Forest, I think they were always going to back him regardless of what happened. Because if you watch interviews with Cooper when we were in the Championship, his plan was to do away with the loans and build a team. But then we get promoted before you can do that. So we have to buy all these players. And he even said this season, he sort of alluded to the fact that we've got promoted too early. I know you can't plan when you get promoted, but it sort of came early in their 2 or 3 year plan. And we've not been able to gel with the players. And I think there's been a lot of panic with the players we've brought in as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
You sort of grab who, it's just a bit like this and hope we can stick it together. But, he changes the team week in, week out. There's never been a settled team, really. I think we played the same formation twice against Wolves and Leeds. And then we change it again against Villa.
I think it's a sticky situation where you've got, obviously you had to do a sort of rebuild coming back up because of the loan players you lost, which is out of your hands. But you look at another side that people, not instantly, but when I reckon they'll get relegated in Fulham, who are now up into the top half of the table. They're staying there just about now. They've had a bit of a drop off since the 15 minutes of madness up at Old Trafford for them, but they've sort of stuck and they've really, really motored up the table.
A lot of their team now has been there for a while now. They've been in the Championship and down. They've been Premier League, then down again, now back up, and that's the difference, I think. If you've got that core that have been together, and I think if we could have done that and maybe just bought the players that got us up and then built around that, it might have been different. I think there's just too much for him to handle, really, with all these players. Yeah. And yourself, the Premier League, there's a lot of egos involved as well, and man management's a different game in the Premier League.
Yeah. Yeah. Max, just coming to you, obviously with Gary O'Neill, there's a bit of belief there now that I think you'll stay up, and I think there's a belief within your fan base as well. Do you think that Gary O'Neill is the future of Bournemouth if you stay up?
Yeah, I can't see why not. He doesn't deserve to get the job with C Fortune, because I think he was meant to be with us till the end of the season. But hopefully he gets offered a contract for the complete to be our proper manager and that. Because to be honest, look, 30 points for a team like us, I thought we wouldn't even reach the 30-point mark myself. But we've proven that, and I think we could go on and get at least another 7-8 more points. I reckon. Good, another 2 wins, 2-3 wins, and then a few draws, and I think we'll be fine. To be honest with, carry on. Yeah,
just having a look at the Premier League table, I think about 36, 37 points is going to be enough there. So you've got Southampton, the one side you could probably cut adrift from the rest. Leicester on 25, Nottingham Forest on 27, Everton there as well.
Yeah, Southampton, I think, Yeah, so I'm a Bournemouth fan. Yeah, I'm not being biased. I think they're relevant right now. So sorry if there are any Southampton fans watching, but to be honest, Leicester and Forest, yes, are still in it. They're fine. I mean, Forest obviously got advantage of Leicester at the minute, and Leicester got advantage of Southampton, and Southampton are clear what bottom. But I think Leicester and Southampton, not Leicester, Leicester and Forest should get more points, because looking at Southampton's fixtures, that it's not looking very nice for them. But to be honest, if we want to get more points as Bournemouth, me as a Bournemouth fan, I think, Gary Neal needs to keep getting it right with making subs early and not bringing the attackers off of defenders, because then we sit back and that. But when we played against Leicester, we should have. I think we should have just. We should just take our chances more, because in the second minute when I was watching Chris's, obviously I didn't watch the game fully, but I watched it back on a full 90. I mean, I could tell Chris was getting annoyed with the amount of chances Bournemouth were having, because although he's glad that we missed them as a Leicester fan, but he's expecting us to put them away. I think it was it Wout Faes and Everson, Chris? He was getting proper annoyed, wouldn't you?
Everson was our man of the match at the end of the day. He kept us in it. Wout Faes, I mean, again, he's a good player, but at the moment, there's just no confidence there.
He made a good block, didn't he, with Solanke 1-on-1? And
I was getting more annoyed with the fact that we got Daniel Amati back in.
Oh, yeah.
I'd tell you,
who's your
caretaker in the back four than Daniel Amati?
Is it Adam Sadler at Leicester? Is he your caretaker manager, isn't it?
Yeah, we might as well have that American comedian in, Adam Sandler. I mean, he could probably do better. Yeah,
you just as well have me there, Chris, to be honest with you. I'd sort him out.
Well, I don't think you could do a worse bloody job, I'll tell you, Jake.
Oh, thank you very much. Let's take some more comments. We're going to have a little look at the other sides involved in the relegation battle after I take some comments. So we've got Everton and Leeds in particular to have a little go through there. I think above us, you've got Wolves on 31. I think they've got enough in the tank now, a couple more wins, and that's their safety secured, I think. And I think Palace now with those 2 wins in successive weekends, I think that puts their safety into it as well. But with Chelsea there, you never know. With Fat Frank there, Chelsea might keep dropping, and we might see Chelsea. No, I'm joking. They are out of it for sure. But yeah, we'll come back and have a little look at Everton.
I don't know, Frank. Big Fat Frank's there. You never know.
You never know. John says Gary O'Neill's never gave up when playing, and Bournemouth are a reflection of the manager. No consistency with Shelvey in terms of Forest. One good game, 3 bad games, and I think Rich,
which was the good game? I'm trying to remember which one that was. There might have been parts of the game.
There's a mixture of really big names in there that just haven't bonded and mixed together well, as there.
Yeah, no, I think that's been the problem, and I think January almost put a spanner in the works, really, because then he started playing those players above other players that were already trying to force their way into the team, and we've just not gelled at all. And I just don't think. We just don't look like we've got it in us.
No,
at all.
No, I think we do a Premier League roundup show on here every week, and we've sort of said in the last few weeks that the home form need to keep Forest up, because the away form is pretty dreadful, and then you start to drop points away from home. And do you think that was at the last minute equaliser or winner from Newcastle sort of really knocked the wind out of yourselves?
Well, we were beating Wolves, weren't we? And they had one shot on goal, and they equalised when we should have put it to bed, really. He made a defensive change. He went 5 at the back and took an attacker off, and you're thinking, well, they're not attacking us because we're pushing them, and you've now let them have the ball, and we're just sat back, and that's what happens, isn't it? I think football these days, you've got to be on it and at the other team.
Yeah. Oh, it changes so quickly. Let's take some more of your comments. Forest have some awful fixtures. I take that into consideration, but every team's got to play them as well. You could argue we've got some pretty awful fixtures left as well. We've got Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, City. We've still got 4 of the big 6 left there. So, every team has got to play them at some point. It's just making sure that you pick up the points in the games that you need to. And there's been plenty of 6-pointers over the last few weeks that I think have given us a clearer picture of what's going to happen come the end of May. The True Red says we're we're down with our remaining fixtures. Only fixture left I can see us winning is Southampton. Let's have a look here. Scott, who I think is a Leicester fan, says, "Hi, I think the same as Chris. Leicester are doomed." Let's have a look here. Sean says, "Bournemouth get a fine each season for having a ground too small for the Premier League. I think it's great. I think it's a great little stadium until we get the away allocation every season, and it's, what is it, 800 or 1,000 or something, and they're like, no chance at all." But let's have a look here and scroll down. Everybody having a nice chat to each other. Everton aren't out of it yet. Yeah, we will talk about Everton in just a second. Leeds, Leicester and Southampton to be relegated. Leeds, Bournemouth and Southampton to go down. Saints, Leeds and Everton. So there's varied opinions out there. Hammerhead, hope you well. Palace only went and won by 5, and that really knocked out of Leeds as well, you think there. So we'll talk about them in just a second. Dean Smith's got the job. Others don't want it due to the club's plans.
Unless you know the tea lady, Sean, and you know something that the rest of us don't. Take your pick. It's him or Rafa, apparently, but it's final stages, and there's nothing being confirmed at all. If it was, it would be on the club website, and it isn't. So
let's keep refreshing that page. He keeps refreshing.
Pretty true. I've got that open. I've got the local paper open. I've got Fabrizio open.
Andy says it will be tight. Pickford is key for them, but they have no natural striker. Everybody having a nice chat to each other down there. Here we go. I mean, I wouldn't be 100% against Benitez coming, but he may try to revamp the team with signings, and I don't think top players will want to come here.
Sorry, can I just say, everybody, there's a new
Chelsea are in big FFP trouble. They have got a turbulent future ahead of them, Chelsea, so they might be sticking down there a bit longer in the bottom half of the table. That would be funny. Chelsea just about safe. Yeah, just about. We will have a look at the run-ins after we look at the other two sides left in it for me. I think Manny, so we'll get onto that. And let's have a look here. Scott says, who thinks Leicester will get battered by Man City? Honestly, can see it being a cricket score. Unfortunately, I think we all have that sort of mindset when we play Man City. Damage limitation is the key term to take out of it for me. And there we go. So before we carry on, drop a like on the video if you're watching here on West Ham Unofficial or on the other channels. Make sure you hit that like button. Chris?
Yep. So I just want to say on Benitez. I don't want him anywhere near my club. Everybody's saying won't he be good? He kept Newcastle up, blah, blah, blah. Nobody seems to remember what he did at Everton. I mean, the guy, managers have the day, and they peak, and he's peaked, and no, I don't want Benitez. Not at all.
No, I think that's fair enough. And one thing we do have to say today amongst the West Ham community is happy heavenly birthday to Peach. It is Peach's birthday today. So we'd like to say up there a huge happy birthday to you, mate, and we miss you ever much. But yeah, that's for the that's amongst the West Ham side of things as well. But we'll go on to the other teams left in, and we'll start with Everton. And we'll go the opposite way round. Max, we'll start with you, Everton. How do you rate their sort of chances of staying up with Sean Dyche there?
To be honest, if they get found out for financial fair play and their points deducted, I'll put them in 18th. Right. To be honest, under Sean Dyche, I think they could possibly stay up if they don't get found guilty. Because to be honest, ever since he stepped in as Everton manager, he's got them out of the crap, hasn't he? He's managed to get a win over Arsenal, 1-0, and obviously they got battered at the Emirates because it's the Emirates. But to be honest, I think Everton could be fine this season. But what I've put so far, because I think they could get found out. I reckon they could possibly go down. But Sean Dyche has turned them around as a club, because ever since Frank Lampard was there, I think they were a mess. I mean, against Bournemouth as well, they were a mess. They lost to us 4-1 in the cup, and they lost 3-0. And I mean, to be honest, I think Alex Iwobi went to throw his shirt in the crowd, and the crowd just threw it back, saying, "You don't care, it's not good enough." And literally, you don't mind, but Everton were proper pissed off. Their fans, they were going mad at Frank Lampard on the touchline, honestly. Yeah. But ever since Dykes took over, they're probably going to be a long ball merchant now, aren't they? So every team can suss that. So to be honest, I think Everton on paper they should stay up, but if they get found guilty, then they're in trouble. I think. Do you guys know what their point deduction is? Is it like -8 points, isn't it?
I don't know because they seem to change it, and will they be found out and taken down for? Oh, here we go. Go on, Chris. What's happened?
According to Sky, Deal agreed for Smith to take over as Leicester manager, with Craig Shakespeare and John Terry as part of the coaching staff.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be happy about that one. But yeah, I think with the financial fair play, will they do Everton this season? I'm not so sure. And Rich, if I come to you, obviously with their big stadium move coming in the next couple of seasons as well, if they get relegated, that would be a real sucker blow for them. Do you think with Dyche there that they could drop?
I think so, yeah. I mean, they're not, like many of us down there, they're not a great side, are they? I think he'll galvanise them. He'll probably make them harder to beat. I think they're pretty toothless, aren't they, as well up front? So they're not out of it by any stretch, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Andy mentioned in the chat they haven't really got a natural striker there, and they are a team where with Dyche, you know what they're going to do. They are going to be quite difficult to try and break down, but they aren't out of it yet. They've had a couple of dodgy results. We've got an Everton fan in the chat from one of the channels. So happy we got Dyche, and there is no doubt about it. He's given them a resurgence, a big push, and I think, with them there, I think that will be enough to keep them up. But you never know. It could keep turning and turning. So who knows? Chris, Everton.
Look, Everton, they got the manager that every one of us who've sacked a manager in the bottom half would have wanted. We were screaming for him. I mean, I know there's Ant who runs another Leicester channel was screaming for Sean Dyche last season. It all rests on the points deduction. They need to sort it out quickly, the Premier League, but exactly. I have a feeling that they'll leave it till the end of the season and then see if Everton go down because of their performances, then it's not their problem anymore because they're in the EFL. And we know the Premier League have got less balls than well, you know what I mean. So they're not going to. I think they're scared to make that decision because then Everton are going to, no doubt they'll argue it and go back and forth. So, but yeah, I mean, they've probably got one of the better chances of staying up simply because of who's in the dugout.
Yeah, I think that is a big factor there, but by no means can you sort of take them out of the equation because just looking at that Premier League table, once again, there they are still 17th, which is still dangerous, and they are on the same amount of points as Nottingham Forest. They are just being kept above water, as it were, by goal difference. So they're still a side to definitely be taken into consideration in that front. And I think Leeds are a side as well, just 2 points above that drop. Rich, I'll start with you this time with Leeds. They're a funny old side, Leeds. That must have been an absolutely, devastating loss at the weekend.
Well, we played all right up until the goal. And then we just did our usual and sat back again, and they just battered us, I think, then for 60 minutes. We had a couple of chances. Me and Steve Cooper comes on the TV saying, we had a couple of chances here and there, but it's the same old chat every week, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think Leeds, they're one of those teams where they could go out and beat anybody, but then they could go out and get hammered, as they proved, by anybody. You never know which one. They're really inconsistent. We're consistently poor.
Yeah, with their sort of really, really, really poor defensive efforts that cost them in the end, and Palace ripped them absolutely apart. So that's got to be taken into consideration. I think Leeds are another side that could drop down there as well. So I don't know. Time will tell whether Leeds, because Leeds, they're always a side who turn up with a sort of surprise victory, and they are. And I said, where it clicks, because they attack so much. If it clicks, they will put a couple pass aside. But when it goes badly, as we saw on the weekend, it goes very, very badly. Chris, Leeds.
I had them to go down at the start of the season. They were one of my three. I think, in fact, I had them bottom purely on sort of last season's performance. It just... if this was a normal season, there'd be probably Southampton and possibly even us that would be cut adrift by now. And I think it's just sort of... I wish I wasn't in the fight, but for a neutral, it's really, really interesting. Do I think they'll go down? I really don't know with Leeds. Leeds a bit like sort of Bournemouth. They can get the odd result when you don't expect it. They beat Leeds earlier in the season. Not beat Leeds, sorry, they are Leeds. Beat Liverpool. Forest beat Liverpool. All the other teams are capable of getting wins. And have they got enough to stay up? They will either be 17th or 18th, I think.
Yeah, they will definitely loiter around that drop zone there. Max, Leeds, do you think they will be a team that can drop?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've got them in 19th, I reckon. Do you know what I have done is I've written down how many more points out of our games we'll get this season. If you want, I can read them out to you. Our last 8 fixtures.
Yeah.
How many points I reckon? I reckon we get 3 against Leeds, 3 against Everton, one against Southampton away, 1 against Palace. I think we'll get 1 against Chelsea because they've been in awful form. None against Man United, 1 against Spurs, and I reckon West Ham will beat us at our ground. Honestly, I reckon the thing is with Bournemouth is we'll beat Fulham at home, but then we'll lose to Brighton at home, but then we'll go to King Power and we'll go and get points at King Power. And then we've got West Ham at home, and I reckon they could get a result against us, but then we'll bounce back against Leeds. With that team, we get the odd result. I'm not biased. I'm non-biased, mate.
I think with this sort of unpredictability about the side down there, you get it every season where, and Bournemouth are a sort of prime example of it, where you sort of go win one, lose one, win one, lose one, and that's what we get when we go down to Dean Court in next weekend. We don't know what West Ham's going to turn up, and you probably don't know what Bournemouth side's going to turn up. So they are really, really hard to predict, but Bournemouth do have something about them which I don't really like going down there. And we've got out of the sides left in this battle, we've got Leicester on the last day, which hopefully it can all be wrapped up. Leicester relegated, West Ham staying up by then. Only joking, Chris. And we've got Leeds.
Moyes, that would be the joking. That would be the funny thing that you'll still have David Moyes.
Yeah, well, you'll be playing Rotherham away, so yeah.
Fair dues.
We've got Leeds at home as our last home game, and then Leicester away as our last away game on the final day. So hopefully we can have it wrapped up by then. But apart from that, we've only got Bournemouth and Palace left from the sides in the bottom half of the table. So it is incredibly difficult to predict what sides will drop. But I think we've done a pretty good summary of it overall. So we'll have a final look at the current situation then, with Chelsea on 39, Palace on 33, Wolves on 31, West Ham on 30, with Bournemouth alongside there, just dropping down a goal difference to 15th as well. Leeds on 29, Everton and Nottingham Forest on 27, Leicester on 25, and Southampton Southampton at the foot of the table with 23 points. So there we go. We'll take some of the final comments and then we'll get some final thoughts from our panelists tonight. Scott says, question for Jake and Chris. Last game of the season depends on who wins or results. Depends who stays up. We've sort of mentioned it quite a few times. Hopefully, for our sake, it can be done by then if we can get a couple of wins. But
we did agree down to Jake earlier. Whoever's up, lets the other one have the 3 points.
Okay. But yeah, get your final thoughts in the comment section down below, and we will go around the room for some final thoughts. Go on, Chris. We'll start with you.
We've got, like I said, we've got Man City this weekend, and that's a free hit. We're not going to get anything. They might even break the 9-0 record. Who knows? But then we've got 4 winnable games. And no disrespect to the teams involved, because at the moment we couldn't beat the Rose and Crown ladies five-a-side B team. But they are on paper winnable games. We host Wolves, we're away to Leeds, we host Everton, we're away to Fulham, we're without Mitrovic, don't appear to be, half as good. And then of course we've got Liverpool, Newcastle, West Ham. Those 4 games, but I feel like I've been saying this all season, those 4 games are vital. And whether it's Dean Smith, it looks like it's going to be Dean Smith, John Terry, and Craig Shakespeare. If it is, great. At least we've got somebody in there. Hopefully, bring some fresh ideas. I will be worried. If we go down, it's not the end of the world. Let's be honest with you. All the rest of them, like Berry, that have gone out of business. At least we'll still have a football team. But it's harder when you've had the success that we've had to take that we're going back to where we were. And I don't expect us that we're going to win it again. I don't expect that we're going to get Champions League. But, we should be really fighting for 8th, 9th, 10th place at least, as West Ham. So that's what hurts. It's the way we've capitulated. And if we go down, it's not going to be a shock because we've all seen it coming.
Yeah. No, I think we've been in similar situations. Obviously, it's sort of gone off in the last few weeks in different ways. But yeah, I do think Leicester are one of the sides that are in deep trouble. Rich, from your Nottingham Forest perspective, some final thoughts.
Well, we've got Man United and Liverpool next to. You never know, but I can't. The only game we've got left where I can see us getting anything is Southampton. I thought Palace at the last game of the season, but they've sort of turned things around. We're in a slightly different position than you guys, I think, except for Bournemouth. Nobody expected us to be anybody anywhere else than where we are now, to be honest. We were put down as relegation battlers from the beginning of the season. So it's just whether he can get enough out of them now between now and the end of the season to pick up the necessary points. I think it's going to be difficult, but I think he's going to have to change the way we sort of set up and the way we go at teams. We can't continue to just let teams have the ball and batter us for 70 minutes of every game, because otherwise we're done for. Like I said, I think we're in a better position if we go down than we were the season before. So it's not the end of the world for us. We've had 23 years before we came up. We're sort of happy to be in the Premier League. If we can stay up, it'll be great. If not, we'll have another go next season. Yeah,
no, I think that's fair enough, and I think there is a chance that you can stay up. But I do think you're a side that probably are, lurking with that sort of favourite section to go down. But I think you can easily get another squad together and bring yourselves back up again the season after. But there's still time. We do never know. And Matt, from your Bournemouth perspective, some final thoughts.
To be honest, I think we have the potential to stay up. If we turn up to the stadium or stadiums when we play our final few games, I think, if we play well, we want it, and we want to stay in this league, then I think we'll definitely stay up. To be honest, another thing, centre-back, Senesi's injured, so I don't know how serious it is on that. I haven't looked at the news on that just yet, but we didn't have him against Leicester, and we still managed to do well. So, as we played well against Leicester with that squad, I'll keep that unchanged until things start to go wrong, which I hope not. But I think this season we've done really well to hit the 30-point mark already, and with 8 games left, I think I can see us finishing on 40 points and staying up. 40 points is staying up, Mark. But to be honest, I think West Ham did have a fixed season in 2004 when they went down on 42 points. Like, I was thinking, Jesus Christ, how can you go down on 42 points?
That's what we all thought as well. Well, I was -3, but yeah, the fans that were alive, that makes you feel old, Chris. But yeah, but yeah, 42 points will be more than enough to keep you up this year. 35 or 36, I think will probably keep you up. I do think quality this season.
Yeah, 34 I don't think is enough, to be honest, because we stayed up. We went down on 34 because I remember when it was Aston Villa and Sheffield United, right? That bloody goal line difference. It was turned off. Goal line technology, it's turned off, and they even admitted it was a goal. But sorry, we can't give the goal because it's the end of the game. I was like, just like Brighton had their penalty denied against Tottenham, and they said it was a penalty. Do you remember that last week? They said it was a penalty, but sorry, we can't give it. Final whistle's gone. But I mean, to be honest, do you want to know a fun fact about Bournemouth? We've given the most penalties away this season. One was against Forest as well. And there's still no penalties for Bournemouth this season. The other 19 teams have had one, I think.
Wow. Rock up West Ham next weekend, then.
West Ham. We gave one away against West Ham at the London Stadium. We had, I think there's Jordan some more that come running in. And then, I think someone from one of your wingers put a cross in and he just stuck his hand up like he's asking to go to the toilet at school. Like, oh, do you know what I mean? But to be honest, I think we'll stay up this season. It's going to be tight. It's going to go down to the wire. But, we've had Everton the last few games of the Premier League as our last fixture, and we've managed to win them all so far. So, touch wood, hopefully we can continue that unbeaten form against them.
Yeah, I do think Bournemouth will have enough to stay up, and I think it's out of the rest of the teams we've discussed tonight. Let's take the final comments before we go. Then it won't take 40 points to stay up, more like 35 or 36 of row, but I can't see Leicester or Forest getting many more points. They're definitely loitering around that fact now. I think 36 will be enough, especially with a goal difference like ours. Goal difference is like a point as well with how tight it is down there. So if you've got a good or a bad goal difference, obviously that swings its way around as well. I think 36 points will do it. Yeah, I agree. I think it will. Southampton, Leicester and Forest. David says the teams that will drop down. Southampton, Leeds and Forest from the Bournemouth channel there as well. So yeah, thank you very much indeed. And James, final comment. Evening chaps, any team from the bottom 8 can be relegated. Too much of a lottery to even guess. I think you hit the nail on the head, and we will leave it there. Thank you very much to my guests tonight, Chris from Leicester Till I Die TV, Rich and Max from At the Cherries in all departments. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me.
Cheers, Jake. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, mate.
Thank you very much. And Chris, we haven't got any fancy outro, so we'll just say bye. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.